we don't know who's coming across the southern border. So we got people coming, and Texas is like, okay, bring the National Guard down. Well, the horses left the barn, okay? The horses left the barn. We're going to bring the National Guard down. Then what? And they're all still going to get asylum hearings, which is going to be 12 years from now. They have 3 kids by then. And guess what? Nothing's happening. They bring the whole
Anchor
family here.
babies. Mm-hmm.
When you've got a system that rewards people for coming, and I get why they come. If I'm from Guatemala and I didn't read and write Spanish in Guatemala, of course I come to the United States because the $2,200 a month, it's a huge upgrade. I heard from a man in India, and I wanted you to talk about the border, say, I kept saying, I want to come to America. I'm like, bro, why do you want to come to America? Where for the poor people are fat? I want to live there. I go, okay. Well, how do you disagree with that point? So I guess what's your take on the border? I think it's the horses left the barns, virtue signaling, re-election campaigns. As long as we incentivize them by, okay, you have a asylum hearing in 12 years, it's done. Well, you're done. You're not catching these people.
I believe Governor Abbott, I believe he's kind of protected because he's in a wheelchair, because he's handicapped. I don't think he gets the same treatment as an able-bodied governor, because I think it's like, oh, you're picking on the cripple. And I think he gets a lot of passes. He's had the National Guard at his control for the last, he's been governor there, 7, 8 years.
Yeah.
He's had the National Guard at his control for 8 years. Whatever state you're in, National Guard's controlled by the governor. If he wanted to deploy them and stop them, I think he would have. He sent them all to Chicago, sent them all to New York City, because that gets headlines, that gets on the news, that gets on TV. And now it looks like, because it's getting cold in Chicago, a lot of the people that he sent there, they're self-deporting back south. Windy City is about to frost over. They're freezing. Right. New York City, Eric Adams just said he's cutting services to all these different, city services by 15%. I think Governor Abbott did it right. I don't know what he's doing, if he's playing for a cabinet position. I don't know what his plan is. I think he's gaslighting. If he really wanted to do something about it, he would have already done something about it, period, without a shadow of a doubt.
He's had 7 years, and let's say he couldn't have the resources or something. He should be at the top of the podium screaming, we need to secure our southern border.
Yep.
Because I can't manage. We don't know who's coming. I don't know how to take care of them. Even if you want to take care of them all, you don't know how to. You don't know the resource constraints you have or don't have. How do you raise taxes? We don't know how many people are coming. I don't invite somebody for dinner I don't know. If I went to your house, said, hey, Ben, I'm coming over. I want to sleep in your room.
Spare room. Yeah.
You and your wife get out. I'm going to eat your refrigerator and drink all your fine bourbon. You're going to go, whoa, I don't know you that well.
Yeah.
But now there's people you don't even know who are like, oh, just come to the spare bedroom. Hey, my wallet's on the nightstand. It's full of $1,000 bills. Enjoy. You never do that. I don't invite you over for dinner, you and your wife, if I've got food for one person, because that wouldn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because we're borrowing money incessantly from China every second. So none of it makes sense. You wouldn't do that in your normal life, but yet southern border wide open, and then Abbott at the tail end of his governor ship, we'll call it, like, well, I'm going to secure the border. I mean, it's a day late and a dollar short. When you're incentivizing people to come to the immigration policy from the federal government, they get a few jobs, as you know, secure the border, military. I mean, what else the federal government is supposed to do in the Constitution? It's expanded as we all get that. I don't think it matters. I think it's all virtue signaling nonsense.
I don't think some of the hypocrisy for the people that are for open borders. There's as good as I do, there's millions of people here for open borders. But I always ask those same people, when you leave and you go out of town, do you lock your door at your house? When you go to work, do you lock your car in the parking lot? If you do, you're a hypocrite, because you want an open door to our country, but you lock your own door in your house. It doesn't make sense. It's like people that are for gun control, but yet they keep a fire extinguisher. Well, why do you got a fire extinguisher? Well, that's to put out the fire until the fire department gets here. I have a pew-pew because I want to put out whatever problem it is until the police get here. So if you want an open border, take the locks off your door. Get rid of your Ring security cameras. Get rid of your car alarm. Get rid of your motion lights. If you really want an open border, don't be a hypocrite. You can't have it both ways. You were in the Marine Corps. I was in the Navy. We like standards. We both hate double standards. And
well, you can't have a government we're paying for without standards, because they just all spend on themselves. Look at Juarez. Look at El Paso.
Oh, God.
Go visit one or the other, and you'll see some cultures are different than others. Lots of reasons Juarez is like that. Lots of reasons.
Yep.
But the bottom line, the simplistic term, I'd rather live in El Paso than Juarez.
Yeah.
Simple, right? And there's a reason. And when the cartel controls our immigration policy, we got a problem because they can take that same person and make money on them 5 different ways. And so it's changed radically since NAFTA. The border's basically been wide open for goods. We'll call it. And now we got, you look at these streets of I was in San Francisco in August. I've been going there since the 70s. People on the streets and human feces. You're walking, and we're talking tourist areas. We're talking at the wharf. They're trying to clean it up. President of China comes to clean everything up. They don't care enough. It doesn't matter to them enough. And as long as you've incentivized this, and that's where Biden's got a big say in the incentivization of these people coming. They say, here I am, and I get why they come. But yet there can be we just can't afford them. Let's say they're all outstanding. Let's say they can come hit the ground running. They come as a physician or high-tech skilled. We don't have enough low-skilled jobs for these people. I hear that often whenever there's not enough. So we can pretend and it all sounds good and they're a net positive to the economy. No, they're not. When you go to the ER and you're having a heart attack and it's filled with Haitians, look at Fort Myers, you can't get in because filled Haitians that are being sent there by Miami attorneys to try to get slip and fall claims stuck in the ER. Real example. You can't get seen. You're a taxpayer. You're going to be upset. When you walk in to a school, there's a finite amount of resources and they have to spend 20% of their budget for English as a second language. You're going to get pissed off as a taxpaying person there. When those people aren't paying tax and they were dumped in by you pick the Democrat president. That's a problem.
Yeah, I think Texas is, I don't even know. Texas is purple, probably blue at this point. I saw the National Guard is trending on Twitter, and it's because President Trump is about to go to the southern border for a summit or an event or some kind of rally with Governor Abbott. And I think so Abbott's been sitting on this National Guard. It's coming up to the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas. When are people going to get the most, headlines or the most dramatic news coverage? Oh, you're deploying National Guard. They're going to be away from their home from their family on Thanksgiving and Christmas. I don't know about you. I missed quite a few Christmases and Thanksgivings, but now it's a little painful. And I still don't know if anything changes because it hasn't got bad enough.
Let's say you deploy the National Guard. They're there, right? What are they going to be doing? They're going to be handing out MREs, water bottles, and diapers. Blankets. They're just going to be a welcome party because they can't say, hey, you're not crossing this border. You're not crossing the border. Otherwise, bad things would happen. They're just going to be the welcome. You see what's going on the Border Patrol. All they are is like a welcoming committee. Oh, I need XXX underwear. I need some formula. I don't like this food. So I don't see what they're. Let's say you stick them at the border. There's no wall. What are they going to do? Just logistically, you stick a battalion of infantry there. What are they going to do? Are they just going to spread out every 100 yards and sit there and say, you cross this, it's going to go bang? No, that's not happening. You can set up a minefield, claim more mines, drones. And if they cross it, it goes bang? No. So what is the point? What are you going to do with that?
Why do you think we're so worried about other countries' borders more than our own, like Ukraine?
There's lots of reasons. Both parties have been pushing this forever. We've had Reagan agreed with Kennedy's proposal. Amnesty. We just do it one time. We're good. But they keep kicking it down the road. And you hear people say, well, it's cheap labor, all these things. The bottom line, though, is to average person like you and me, when you would put the influx, I mean, look at a community like Columbus, Ohio, or Minneapolis, Minnesota. Look at that in 1992. Look at it today. If you notice anything, circa Bill Clinton time, they thrust in hundreds of thousands of Somalians. The whole culture, the whole place has changed.
They lost their identity.
Right. Are they good people? I'm sure. But you've taken that whole society and it is gone compared to what it used to be. Totally different. You go to the airport, you look at what's happening, and they haven't been told you need to assimilate. Ilhan Omar, for example, they assimilate. No, just do your thing. Stay in your little community. And they haven't become Americans. My people came here, Norway and Sweden. They said, my great-grandfather from Sweden, he didn't speak in Swedish to his son. He live in America. He'll speak English in a Swedish accent. would scream at them once in a while in Swedish, but they were never allowed to learn it because they lived in America. And so it's a problem. We've got a country that despises itself. And so we're just bringing ourselves down to some other standard. I don't know what else it is. We will pay for every other country's border and no problem. And yet you'll see Nikki Haley, for example, 1.1 million people from Palestine should come. What are we going to do with them? And I know leftists will say we've intervened in Central America, and all those things could be true. But from your standpoint, my standpoint, I can't control where we've intervened. I can control saying I don't want any more people I can't feed or take care of. I don't want to go to a certain place in South Florida and they don't speak English at all. And all of a sudden I'm supposed to adapt my life. If I go to Mexico, I try to speak Spanish. And they know some English because they want tourism there. Yet they come here, they can't speak any English. But yet if I go to Cancun, people in Mexico can speak English, but they come here from a third world shithole, Venezuela, they speak no English. So I think the border's a ruse. And what, real specific, if you said, again, I'm going to say this again, okay, we're sitting, what are they going to do? Well, we're going to set up on the border. Okay, what does that mean? Are you going to put them in squads every 500 meters and they're going to have nods? And then if they see somebody, what do they do? Do they warning shot? Do they send over, what are you doing here? Well, you're going to detain them. Then what? Shoot an offense in area. Then what? Then they they're just a grading committee. We'll know how many people are coming, but they're not going to do infantry stuff or military stuff to keep these people from attacking us, from invading the country.
Would you, as a Marine, and do you think any other active duty Marines, if we actively deployed troops in Mexico to go after the cartels, would you support that? I would. I think I actively would. I don't think it'll ever happen. It's delusional for me to even bring it up. It'll never happen because I don't think any president has the cojones to do it. But I would support that. If I was a Marine on active duty, or if I was in the Navy still active duty, they're like, hey, get your sea bag ready. You're going to Mexico to go after the cartels. I'd be like, well, you know what? Okay, good.
We have a precedent set, right? The precedent set. 9/11, we find out where the bad things are happening. It should be in Afghanistan, but of course we end up in Iraq. Different story, but we know it's in Afghanistan, the hub. Just if that's a story, that's what we were told. And that's the story people bought. We had these 18 hijackers, even though they were Saudi, but let's just go with it. Pakistan, where the training was. We send in a different country, we send in our military, right?
Yep.
That's a precedent. So what's the correlation? You may go, JT, this is stupid. No. Bear with me. Our streets, the ODs, there's like, I think 100,000 people, I think it's 297 people a day are dying. Now, no one's Ben Shapiro. I didn't force them to put it in their arm. Yeah, but it's a different world, okay? We're not talking the same thing. We need to stop that because we've given the cartel control of our immigration policy. And until we say this isn't acceptable, so that is the attack. The attack is everywhere around you. Go to a big city. Needles hang out neck, shitting themselves on the sidewalk. That's worse than an attack because it's a cancer. It's gutted Appalachia. It's gutted the South. Now the solve is they take vitamin F. It's gutted. Once more young people died serving in wars of the year from the South. Young white men from the South. Just the reality. Just the facts. They've gutted that whole community of people that were proud. And they made them into welfare-dependent drug addicts. I'm in Virginia, southwestern Virginia. And I see it. Now, a lot of solid people, but you hear about them. And again, back to my point, we had an event where everyone agreed at the time when you go to Afghanistan. Somehow, WMDs in Iraq got us to other place, but precedent's been set. So to your question, do I agree? Well, if you feel like that crisis, the fentanyl crisis is big enough, then sure. And it is big enough by all measures. By all measures, how we were from now to 20 years ago. Yes. Yes, I do agree. I mean, look how we fought with cocaine coming out of Colombia.
Oh, yeah.
We had troops all over that, everywhere. And yet we go, well, we can't do it in Mexico. We love Mexico. I love burritos.